お待たせいたしました。
Thank you very much for waiting. Now, let's begin the panel discussion 1, the institutional coordination and human resource development for the wider area collaboration. Please make a comment and wait the comment until, please wait making a comment until the moderator call upon your name. In order to ensure smooth proceedings, we will ring the bell when the designated time has expired for each panelist. So first of all, panelists from the Central Asia and the Caucasus will talk about the current situation, challenges, and then future prospects in the countries.
First of all, we'd like to call upon Mr. Aman Adepayev, Senior Expert of Ministry of Industry and Infrastructure Development from Kazakhstan.
Добрый день, уважаемый Ичибо Хируаки, уважаемые коллеги, дамы и господа.
Let me thank the organizer and Mr. Ichiba for inviting me to this event. Again, I would like to thank the organizers for this opportunity, and thank you very much for the warm hospitality. Today's symposium is related to expanding economic ties between our countries, and will definitely strengthen relations in the field of transport. In the modern development of Kazakhstan, the transport industry is defined as the artery of the state's economic life. The state of the transport component is a determining factor for the entire economy of the Republic, and the effective use of the transit potential stimulates the desire for continuous improvement of the transport infrastructure. Given the growing volume of freight flows between the major producer East and the significant consumer Europe, the main objective of Kazakhstan's transport policy remains the further creation of the Eurasian transcontinental bridge, having a complex of road and rail networks, air routes, as well as strategically important ports of Aktau and Kuryuk on the Caspian Sea. Our country is able to realize the available national transit resource to ensure uninterrupted Eurasian transport communication. To date, the Trans-Caspian International Transport Route, TMTM, as passing through the seaports of Aktau and Kuryuk, is the main alternative route for the transportation of Kazakhstan exports in transit corridor. So in terms of the capacity, it's 6 million tons per year, including 80,000 TU. Transshipment of cargo through the seaports of Aktau and Kuryuk within the framework has become 2 times higher. It was 1.67 last year, but the year before was 800,000. Last year, in terms of the container transportation, in comparison to the previous year, increased by 34%. In 2021, 25,000 TEU, but last year in 2022, 33,000 TEU. For this year, we are expecting to increase the volume to 2 million in terms of the volume. This the potential of this multi-road, and in order to dissolve the bottleneck, so we have the roadmap to eliminate the bottlenecks on this route in November last year, and this has been signed. So the port capacity will be increased, the number of vehicles will be increased as well. We would like to provide a favorable condition to those involved. By this, we can increase the execution to 11 million tonnage. So within the roadmap framework, we are planning to invest more than 1 billion, and in terms of the $1 billion, that is. So there's a project underway to further increase the transit into from China to Europe. So Doxy-Moenti, the freight line was started. In terms of the second track was started, and by doing so, the capacity should be increased by 5 times, and the increase in the speed of transportation to 1,500 kilometers per day from 800 kilometers today. And some of the characteristics. And once this projects, we would have a 40%, and the cost would be reduced, and also the hour for transportation reduced by 24 hours. Also, Kuryuk port, it is part of this transportation network. So 21 million tonnage is the per annum capacity. And in order to increase the cargo transport and the container transport, by the year 2025, we would like to establish the container hubs to improve on the berths and also to do dredging of the port and so forth. So CMA, CGM, these international container operators, we are expecting to solicit. So by the year 2025, Salia, the overseas terminal, and the grain terminal is expected to be constructed. And by 2025, we will conduct the construction of the berth ferry with the dredging in place. Also part of this expansion, Cosmo Transport, which is the national, the marine transport company. By 2030, they're expected to construct more tankers and ferries. This project is underway with Abu Dhabi Port, and 25 vessels are expected to be built. In the first half of this year, the first 2 tankers will be completed, and by the year 2026, 4 tankers and also 4 ferries, and the remainder 15 vessels will be constructed by 2030. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, in Kazakhstan, within this region, we do have the potential to become the transit hub for this area, connecting the Eurasia. We will definitely become play a significant role in fulfilling this role as the bridge. So we will continuously increase our transport capability. We will then become one of the force to further expand the trade. Thank you very much for listening.
ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much.
続きまして、
Now moving on to the Kyrgyz Republic, the Deputy Minister of Transport and Communication, Mr. Belderbek Kurmanbekov, please.
Спасибо большое. Уважаемый господин Ичиба Хироаки, уважаемые
Thank you
участники.
very much, Mr. Ichiba and all participants. First of all, on behalf of the Ministry of Transport and Communications of the Kyrgyz Republic, I would like to say hello and also thank you for your warm welcome. And also, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Japanese government for allocating a grant for the implementing of the project, measures against the snow damage on the Bishikosh Road, and for the cooperation in the field of road construction and the development in Kyrgyz Republic for past 26 years through the Japan International Cooperation Agency. The 10 projects has been already promoted, and the 5 projects are under the development. And within the framework of the cooperation, the project on construction and reconstruction of transport corridors in the Kyrgyz Republic is being implemented. The provision of improved facilities for winter road maintenance and the protection from avalanches on the road of the Kyrgyz Republic ensure reliable and efficient transport of goods and passengers on the roads of the Kyrgyz Republic all year round. Today, our challenge is to develop land transport corridor that's viable, competitive, and integrated into the international transport system, taking into account the interconnected transport infrastructure of our partner countries. It is also very important for the Kyrgyz Republic, which is landlocked, that partners provide non-discriminatory access to the seaport of their countries, promote liberalization of the international transport, and reduce non-physical barriers across the territory of transit countries. And the current important challenge is the formation of the digital transportation corridor to reduce travel time, lead time, administrative costs, and downtime in transportation and logistics. Digitalization will define optimal routes and transportation conditions through the use of legally important electronic documents. The formation of a unified information environment will optimize the functioning of state management bodies, including at the supernatural level. The exchange of experiences among the countries are very important, and the digitalization is crucial for us. Therefore, I would like to ask for your support. And our challenge to make the Kyrgyz Republic a transit country with safe and demanding corridors for the transport of passengers, goods, and cargo by 2040. And currently, we are working on the enhancement of the infrastructure. Uzbekistan and the other Central Asian countries, the possibility of a transit should be expanded. Central Asia, Japan, and Caucasus exchanges. We hope that an integrated approach will be formed and developed within the framework of a continuous chain of transportation, trade, and investment. International transport systems should be created. Bureaucratic procedures should be simplified as much as possible, and also non-physical barriers should be reduced or even removed. The positive international experience must teach us a lot of things. And finally, let me once again thank you for organizing such a large event and express my hope for further fruitful cooperation among the Central Asian countries, Japan, and the Caucasus region. We would like to do our best and want to promote the cooperation among ourselves. Thank you very much.
ありがとうございました。では続きまして、
Thank you very much. We'd like to ask Mr. Kushav Mirzoev, First Secretary, External Economic Cooperation Department, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Tajikistan. Thank you very much for the introduction. I'd like to start off with my words of appreciation to all the organizers from Japan. Thank you very much for such a spectacular organization of this symposium. The key focus of the Japanese the business community. I am very glad that you were able to select this topic. So I do have some presentations for you. So this relates to the prospects for the development of transport corridors between Central Asian and Trans-Caucasian republics. So that is the theme of today's presentation. So this shows the map of the area. So these are the main routes of Central Asia and the Caucasus. So the middle corridor is said to be the name of this particular route. It shows the Turkmenban state, which is on the eastern side, and it connects Baku, and it goes through Azerbaijan and Georgia, and all the way to the Black Sea. So that is the corridors route. So we call it Trans-Caspian International Transport Route. This is the name that has been given. As some have mentioned this route already, as we speak right now, it is seen as an alternative route. But going forward, it has the potential to become the main route connecting these regions and areas. However, in order for it to become the main route, we need to engage and we need to address major challenges. First of all our countries need to collaborate with one another to address these issues. The largest issue, it has to pass through two bodies of sea. In order for us to reach Europe, 2 seas and 5 borders need to be crossed. So Traseka is the dialogue that has been underway within the region. So Traseka was established back in 1993. It is an international transport program. So the aim is to increase the trade volume Caucasus and Central Asian regions. with EU. So this is an initiative and program to further increase the trade route. Needless for me to go into details, I'm pretty sure you're aware of this program. So these three countries serve as the representative, and Tobish, which is the capital for Georgia, has held the most recent conference. So this shows the outcomes of the previous years for Traseka. So major initiatives are written here. And one of them is the exemption from the use of visa. Also various permits, related programs, or to simplify or make these permits common amongst the different regions. So these are some of the important programs underway. So this framework of Traseka, various documents and resolutions have been made. Some of them have been fully implemented, but we do believe there are a number of other issues that still need to be resolved. Various statistical data has been compiled by different countries, and they have been shared amongst them. This would be important to facilitate and address the issues related to transportation. Multimodal transport is very important because this route is based on the prerequisite of using this multimodal transport. Automobiles are used, and of course, marine vessels and ships are used within this route. We do have a number of new initiatives as well. One of them is the visa-free initiative, which I have already mentioned already. This is a very important initiative. For instance, the drivers of the trucks who are directly involved in the transportation will be exempted from the visa, and they can engage in transporting of the cargo, which is very important. So this concept relates to the maritime transport. So the vessels are obviously responsible for the maritime transport. So we will continue to develop and also refurbish the existing vessels. Within this corridor, the maritime transport is very important. So in order to gain the popularity of this route, we need to have affordable and also fast and efficient implementation of the maritime transport. It shows the projects and initiatives towards the future. Since last year onward, within the Traseka framework, these projects are underway. So in Tajikistan, I'd like to share with you what exactly is happening in terms of our initiatives. So in terms of our customs, and the customs play a very important role in the transport of these cargo. In Tajikistan, we do identify that as an important role. So one-stop service is provided, and the regulations have been implemented accordingly. So for instance, if it is a truck transport, if they are permitted to pass through the border at one particular point or one stop, and by going through this one particular area, all the relative documents will be checked. So this is a diagram of the procedure for passing through the border control. So first of all, the trucks will be first of all checked at the point of entry at the border. But the bottlenecks that exist within our country is the the lack of IT tools as we speak. We have not been able to implement that. For instance, I had the opportunity to pay a visit to the Tokyo, the customs, and have been able to witness the IT tools have been effectively used in Tokyo. So the staff of the customs are not would no longer need to open each single cargo because of the use of IT tools. So we do hope that we can introduce similar tools in our country as well. Now, between the year 2020 to 24, we have the program of development of customs authorities. So a couple of years ago, this has been adopted in our country. But immediately after that, we have seen the outbreak of COVID-19. So various programs and initiatives, unfortunately, it is lagged behind or it is slowing down because of the pandemic. This relates to the electronic declaration system and improvement of infrastructure at border crossing. So this has been one of the bottlenecks. And in order to address this, various initiatives are underway. So this electronic declaration system, it is important that we transit and also shift to the electronic declaration system. So we will connect with Uzbekistan in this effort. In order for this electronic declaration system to work at the time of crossing of the border and also crossing of the customs, we need to build a new type of buildings that would enable these tools to be implemented. So the improvement in the infrastructure, as mentioned, the green corridor, we need to establish green corridors and also establish scanners and introduction of digitalization. These are all important. And also using smart tags and custom seals, using GPS. That is another target that we have. Also, as part of free trade, Tajikistan has been promoting this free trade. So we have been able to dramatically reduce the time required for the clearance and also transport of the cargo. Back in 2017, it used to be 3 hours, but last year in 2020, it has been reduced to 30 minutes. That is a report that we have received from the customs. So at these major the custom points, basically these are the clearance, the custom clearance time at the major points. I have mentioned that there is definitely a need for proper infrastructure, and the key here is the loss in the time that is happening right now. So these trucks are parked. Perhaps there's not enough space for these trucks to park. So that has been one of the bottlenecks. This slide shows some of the collaboration between Tajikistan and some of the collaborating countries. So for instance, with Azerbaijan, this is the actual the cargo that has been transported, and for instance by mode of transportation, for instance by road and so forth, it is charted in this table. It shows the cooperation in terms of the rail with Azerbaijan, and this is a list with Georgia related to the road transport. So various data I am showing. So Georgia in our country, in terms of the rail transport, there has been none last year. So last year, it was primarily on the road transport only. It was unfortunate that there hasn't been any rail transport. So this shows the trade of a turnover of Tajikistan with the countries of Central Asia and Caucasus. right now, we do appreciate the fact that we still have a number of issues. So the green dye and the corridors will be established so that we can significantly increase the volume of trade with these countries. That would lead to further manufacturing of different items and also the overall production volume increase in general. So Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan are the major partner countries. So as Kazakhstan accounts for 20% of the total trade, and with Uzbekistan, it's about 7% or so. And across countries, for instance, Azerbaijan, for instance, is less than 1%. So Azerbaijan's contribution is less than 1% in terms of the total trade volume of our country. Of course, lesser the trade, obviously that means less the transportation volume as well. Also, in terms of the interaction, in terms of the political realm, so there are no numbers, but this is also a very important issue. This is how we can collaborate in terms of politics. So today is the 15th of March. So yesterday and also today in Baku, the project of simplified transit customs procedures along the east-west Trans-Caspian International Middle Corridor. This project has been one of the main topics of the multilateral meetings. So basically, one stop, a single window principle has been discussed. So the top head of our customs authorities is participating as we speak in this meeting held in Baku. Of course, there's a time difference. Baku is still in the morning. So I do believe the meeting has already started in Baku. This year in 2023, we are expecting to have various summits and exchange visits of heads of the number of Central Asian and Caucasus republics. And one of the agendas is related to cooperation in transport sphere and relative to simplification of customs procedures. That is all in terms of my presentation. Apologies for going overboard with the time, but thank you very much for listening.
Well, thank you very much. Now, next from Uzbekistan, the Director of Development of Transport Corridors and Logistics Department, Ministry of Investment, Industry and Trade, Mr.
Thank you very much,
Hashimov, floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me, on behalf of Minister of Investment, Industry and Trade of Uzbekistan, say so many thanks for Japan side for organizing, inviting us here, Tokyo, together, represented from Central Asia and Caucasus region, for improve and for development new transport corridor, alternative former corridor via Russian territory. I also like thanks to Ms. Watanabe, Professor Yama, and Mr. Grossi. So very fruitful presentation and good proposals. It is well known that over the past 30 years, Uzbek-Japanese friendly relation and multifaceted cooperation have developed dynamically. Over the past years, with the participation of Japanese company Marubeni, Jagmet, Mitsubishi, Itochi, Sumitomo, Shivaki, and Isuzu, and another investment projects, more than $11 billion have been implemented in field of energy, agriculture, chemical, oil, and the gas industry in Uzbekistan. Today, to find a new alternative corridor is vital for Central Asian countries to improve the trade with European country and United States and other countries. Within the framework of Central Asia, Caucasus plus Japan format, in our opinion, the following proposals could be considered for next proposals. First, we support to continue the harmonization and unification of the regulatory and legal framework of international transport via this corridor. Secondly, we ready to modernization of railway rolling stock, strengthening of the containerization of cargo transportation, expansion of modality, electrification of railways will be required. It's also necessary to update the vehicle fleet, create favorable conditions for the transportation of goods by road and transit, equalize fees, transfer international cargo transportation, including to from third countries on the non-permissive basis. The key task, it is digitalization. And I fully agree with proposals provided by Mr. Kuroshi that Japanese companies should and can participate in all this investment project to improve digitalization custom and checkpoint all full transportation system in Central Asia. It approximately $10 billion investment needed here, and it improve our capacity and trade and the life standard, and also will be very close Central Asia and Caucasus region with Japan and with European for another side. In all these areas, we are ready to cooperate with Japanese companies in the terms of attracting investment, new and high technologies, machines, mechanisms, and transport, logistic, custom services. Concluding my speech, I should say, we together with Japan side, ready to develop of this transport corridor, to transport this corridor from corridor to economic corridor, and investment corridor, and humanitarian corridor, and the corridor to strong friendship and mutual cooperation and collaboration. Thanks so much.
ありがとうございました。続きまして、ジョージアから。
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask from Mosque, Ms. Mirakuri Daniel, please.
Honorable guests, dear delegates, distinguished organizer, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure on behalf of MERST to present the very briefly the presentation due to the fact that the time is quite limited and valuable for all of us. New reality of the Middle Corridor, opportunities of Caucasus and Central Asia. Let me kick off with the new geopolitical circumstances we are living right now and the geopolitical configurations around the regional level. There are challenges as well as the opportunities, because when there are the challenges, there is always room to have opportunities as well, as you may agree. First of all, very briefly about the challenges. The war in the territory in Ukraine, the imposed sanction toward the Russia and Belarus. Next slide. suspended shipment by the global shipping lines to Russian commercial seaports, including the Novorossiysk and St. Petersburg, and last but not least, unreliability of Trans-Siberia transit corridor for the global corporations coming from the Asian countries to Europe and vice versa. But as already mentioned, when there is challenges, there is always the room to have the opportunities as well. And the opportunity has already come with the middle corridor, which become one of the reliable alternative for arranging the cargo flow deliveries from west to east and vice versa. And the Black Sea and Caspian Sea ports become the hub of the European and Asian rail routes through the middle corridor. This is a new geopolitical circumstances and the economic basis we are facing right now, right? So when it comes to the current status and cooperation between the middle corridor, among the middle corridor member states, here we should consider the two levels of cooperation. First is the political dialogue, and the second one is the operational technical level, right? Let me very briefly touch the political one, which is organized by the TRASECA, which already mentioned by the colleagues. I will avoid the comprehensive report on that part, but I would say that the Intergovernmental Commission promoting the development of logistical development, not only logistical development through the corridor member state countries, but also supporting the forming the facilitated legislative basis among the countries. It's about the logistics, it's about the trade facilitation, it's about the economic coordination between among the countries. And the member states are presented here, but a part of it we are having the Turkey, Bulgaria, Romania, and so on. But when it comes to the technical parts and technical level, we should emphasize the importance of the TITR, the Trans-Caspian International Transport Route Association. This is the coordinational platform within the middle corridor to create one-stop shop solutions among the countries by close cooperation between the countries, railway companies, seaports, big logistical companies, as well as the logistical providers itself. Right now, the association is providing fixed and adapted rates through the corridor. For sure, there is always the way to improve where we can improve it, but this is indeed the vital platform which is able to coordinate the smooth connectivity through the corridor. When it comes to the setbacks, let's put it like that, within the corridor, for sure, we can't deny the fact that the corridor is absolutely adapted and there is no any issues. No, this is not reality. But let me very briefly identify for you three key points, three key subjects where we at the Maersk have already experienced the bottlenecks. First is Caspian Sea operational limitation. Second one is the China to Central Asia border capacity limitation. And third, last but not least, this is the digitalization. I mean, track and tracing visibility limitation. But those limitations are not, I mean, the final stage. This can be improved, and we at the Maersk, we are doing our best and focusing on that issue to contribute from our side. For Maersk perspective, we see the importance of our participation in the process, not only as a shipping line, the biggest shipping line in the world, but as a global logistical, containerized logistical integrator. Our group has a world-class experience in trucking, rail, a part of ocean for sure, warehousing and distribution, intercontinental rail solution, and global supply chain management organization. So we see ourselves critically useful for the development of a middle corridor. And with the response on that, I can, with a pleasure, introduce our approaches and the projects already launched for the contribution of the corridor itself. First is the direct ocean services within the Black Sea. When it comes to the connectivity between the Black Sea countries, we launched the direct service from Georgia to Ukraine before the war. But right now we are working to substitute the Odessa port by Port Rene. It will be, launched for the next week. This is very, let's say breaking news for us. Also, we launched the direct service from Georgia to Romania to Constanța, and by that solution, we are connecting the mainly the Chinese flows and the Central Asia flows to the western part of the European Union, mostly the countries like Germany, France, UK, and so on and so forth. We already, since 2020, launched the block train solution coming from the China seaports through Kazakhstan, Caspian Sea, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and further to European countries. We are fixing the direct services from Poti, Georgia, to Kazakhstan. The second phase will be to reach Turkmenistan, and through Turkmenistan there will be the direct connectivity to Uzbekistan and the rest of the Stan countries. Warehousing and distribution is the one of the main point when it comes to the complex logistical focus on Caucasus and Central Asia, and supply chain management adaptation. In that part, I would like to emphasize the importance of the digitalization, which was already mentioned by the colleagues, but let me put it very practical way from our side. We already cooperating with UN, United Nations, as well as TRASECA, in order to adopt the digital solution which we already experienced in the rest of the world, which is called Trade Lens, but a part of the Trade Lens, which is a blockchain unpinned by the blockchain solution for all potential stakeholders in the world, including the customs authorities of the countries, seaports, rail companies, logistical companies, and shipping lines itself. But a part of it, we are developing the separated so-called individual digital solutions, which will be adapted on the local specificities of the countries. So we are very actively evaluating and working on that project. A part of it, I'm sure the main interest from the audience could be the expectations from the foreign companies, particularly from the Japanese company, what can be within the corridor, through the corridor, right? When it comes to the Caucasus and Central Asia. The question, yep, thank you. The question on that, it's, and the argument behind it's very easy to answer. The first one is the waste natural resources, which can be absorbed by the companies itself and by the Japanese market representative itself. The robust transport and communication infrastructure, which is already existed, but extra investment is always welcome. And as you may agree, the diversification of the resources and the investments in the capital is always a good idea for the business. A part of it, the usage of the adapted human capital and governmental incentives and support when it comes to the investment, it's always suitable. And we, as a Maersk, we are more than happy to cooperate for the joint venture projects. And we are happy to consider any opportunities coming from the Japan through the corridor, including the George, starting from Georgia, ending with Kazakhstan and all the rest of the STAN countries. And last but not least, the area is very attractive. For Georgia, I can easily say that here is direct access to such an important, strategically important market like European Union. As you may know, we are having the deeper comprehensive free trade agreement with the EU, which meaning that the export flows are free of charge, and there are a lot of benefits and facilitations which can be discussed separately after that panel. So thank you very much once again, and we'll be looking forward to have one-to-one each of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you
very much. Again, next from Georgia, from Dr. Irakli Danelia, Business Development Head for Black Sea and Central Asia regions. And sorry, Deputy Head of Transport and Logistics Development, Policy Department, Ministry of Economy and Sustainable Development of Georgia. Excuse me, Mr. Rati Devaje, please.
Thank you. Dear distinguished guests, His Excellency Ambassador, our listeners online, good day. First of all, I would like to thank Minister of Foreign Affairs, as well as Global Forum of Japan for organizing and enabling this dialogue. As for Georgia, it is very important that Japan is interested in developing corridors through nations of South Caucasus and Central Asia. And we are ready to cooperate and enhance relations in this direction. As a short country profile, Georgia is strategically located on the crossroads of Europe and Asia, with 2.3 billion market access on different geographical locations that we have free trade with. Hence, Georgia is not just a transit country, but a place to do business with other countries around. Also, as an advantage, we have very flat rate and low taxes, and we don't have profit tax when revenue is reinvested. Mm-hmm. And Georgia is recognized as one of the easiest places to do business at. You can open a business there in 1 or 2 days, and procedures are very simple. We also have highly educated and skillful labor force, and we have very stable and fast developing banking system, and our infrastructure is high quality, and we are always developing our infrastructure, and I will touch upon this subject later on as well. Here you can see our network, transportation and logistics network of Georgia. Hence, we have an abundance of high quality road and rail network in Georgia, as well as high quality ports and airports. We have 2 container ports so far in Georgia, Batumi and Poti, with a combined capacity of around 350,000 TEUs per annum. Our railway throughput capacity is around 27 million tons per annum. As I have mentioned, we have very generous and lucrative geographical location, although we know that we need to supplement this locational advantage with high quality and developing hard infrastructure as well. Hence, we have a number of large-scale infrastructural projects, for instance, railway modernization project that will increase throughput capacity of Georgian railway from 27 million tons to around 48 million tons. It is approximately doubling of throughput capacity of the Georgian railway. We also have Baku-Tbilisi-Kars railway project. That is very historical project, not only for Georgia, but for entire region as well. And this is because it's the first time Georgia, Turkey, and Azerbaijan is connected by railway infrastructure. It was not possible until 2017. In 2017, this route was opened in a test mode, and already up to this time, more than 1 million tons of cargo has been transported on this route. Last year, for instance, around 20,000 TEU of containers were transported by this route, enabling and enhancing regional trade of Turkey, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and further to the Central Asian countries as well. Also, we are modernizing and constructing highway infrastructure in Georgia. Already 200 kilometers have been constructed, and for the rest of the part, the process of construction is uninterruptedly in the process. We also would like to develop Georgia as a regional hub for logistics centers and logistics infrastructure, because we see that value-adding services is very important for developing Georgia as a regional transport and logistics hub. Hence, in the pipeline, there are two projects. One is in the western part of Georgia, next to Kutaisi Airport in Kutaisi, and the second one is next to Tbilisi, called Kumisi Logistics Center. In addition to that, when it comes to maritime infrastructure, we have also several projects in the pipeline in Georgia. One is expansion of Poti Seaport, also Pace Terminal plans to enhance its infrastructure, which will double their throughput capacity. And the project, which is very large scale in Georgia, is Anaklia Deep Sea Port project. And I'll talk in a detail about this project. In the phase one of this project, it is envisaged to reach 600,000 TEU of handling capacity in the port, and receiving up to 10,000 TEU vessels per call, and it will have around 16 meters of draft in the port. And indeed, there are some works, dredging works that have been conducted, and you can see that on the photo as well. Last month, February 20, the Ministry of Economy and Sustainable Development of Georgia announced statement of intent for selecting a new investor. Interested candidates are requested to submit legal documents as well as information related to their experience and financial standing until May 19 this year, 2023. and evaluation by the Commission of Selection will be held in July to identify the investor of the project. For this, the Georgian government will participating with 51% of the shares in the construction of this project, which is an incentive for investor companies to understand that Georgian government wants to build a nuclear deep sea port, which not only will be beneficial for Georgia, but also for entire corridor and entire region as well, because increasing throughput capacity and efficient operation of ports in Georgia has a spillover effect on the different countries that transport goods through Georgia. You can also see the contact person there if further information is needed, or you can ask later on, and I can give you more information. Here. These are the countries that we have agreements on different directions, whether it is a railway, civil aviation, maritime transport, or just organizations, international organizations. Traseka already have been mentioned. Also, we have an agreement on Lapis Lazuli route, and we have ongoing negotiations also on Caspian Sea, Black Sea corridor. Here we can see middle route of the middle corridor, and we can see that from 2015 2016 we have very stable and increasing growth of containers transported through Georgia on the middle corridor from and to China. And when you see the numbers, you can understand that even before COVID hit the world, and it had devastating effects on the supply chain in the world, the corridor still was developing, meaning that attractiveness of the corridor is regardless of what is a geopolitical or health-related issues in the world. So we put high hopes on the corridor that in the future as well, it will further develop and attract more cargo on it. Of course, Russian aggression in Ukraine exacerbated the signal towards logistics companies across Asia and across Europe that there are new routes to be found, because only on one route you cannot rely everything. Hence, of course, that influenced attention and grew attention on the middle corridor as well. And Ukraine is one of the routes, one of the important routes of the middle corridor as well. And we hope that after stabilization of activities in Ukraine, after ports are open, we can still use Ukrainian transport network for transport goods and enhance economic activity as well. Here, when it comes to connection between Japan and Georgia, Japan and Turkey, which is also on the one of the routes of the middle corridor, we see that between Japan and Georgia, we have around 30 million USD trade turnover. Of course, there is more trade between Turkey and Japan as well. It is around 4 billion USD, and there is a much more trade between Japan and European Union, which is around 150 billion. So this trade can go through middle corridor when utilized, and we are ready to pass cargo between Japan and the European Union and between Japan and Turkey through Georgia, which is reliable transportation mode. That's all from my side. Thank you very much for the attention.
ありがとうございました。ここからは
Thank you very much. Now I would like to invite the Japanese panelists. So I would like you to keep your time since we are behind the schedule. First of all, from JICA, Deputy Director General of the Infrastructure Management Department, Mr. Koizumi, floor is
はい、
yours.
ただいまご紹介いただきました、JICA 国際協力機構の小泉と申します。
My name is Koizumi from JICA. Today, I would like to talk about the 2 points. So you are seeing 3 different pictures, and the left-hand side and also the middle side, that you are looking at the different ones. So as you can see that the JICA has offices in 96 countries and operates in 150 countries and regions. So the transportation and traffic sector is one that is great needs of support from countries around the world. So as you can see that the Central Asia and also Caucasus are all integrated into the global trade. And the second one is about the maritime security capacity improvement. And number 5 is urban public transportation. Next, please. So Mekong areas. You may not know much about the Mekong, but 8 countries in Central Asia and Caucasus. The population size is about the 9 million and 242 million people, and population size is 2.5 times larger, and the GDP is almost 5 times larger. So the chart shows the growth of GDP per capita in the Mekong region countries with the year 2000 as 100. And although it varies slightly from country to country, the Laos and others have grown 4 or 5 times. And when it comes to FDI, this is the example of the Cambodia. In 2000, foreign investment was very limited. But last 20 years, it increased 30-fold. So it is very important to understand the logistics. So the quality of the logistics has been touched upon, but the customs and also smooth custom clearance procedures, these are all very important. So how do we, JICA, contributed to this? This is the example of year 2008. Number 1 is to correct the disparities among the countries in the regions. Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, and these are the sort of the delayed countries. So we really have to fill the gap between the other countries. And the second one is to promote regional integration. And the third one is to achieve a smooth connectivity. So these are the things that we proposed. So connectivities, there are three key points. Number one is physical transportation facilities. Second one is the connectivity such as customs and others. And the third one is people to people. So these three connectivities are very important and also essential. So we are here today together in this room, but it is very important to increase the connectivity between people. So this is about the Southern Economic Corridor, but from Ho Chi Minh to Cambodia, Thailand, the connectivity has been enhanced, and Cambodia was particular in the delayed status when it comes to transportation. Can you see the difference? If you go back once, ferries in the Mekong rivers, but now this is connected like this. So this is the situation of 2025. From Ho Chi Minh to Phnom Penh, there are about 240 kilometers. With Japanese Shinkansen, it is only 1 hour or so. But in 2001, they took 12 hours by car. So with the road and bridge constructions, and now 2015, you can go there, reach there within 6 hours. Please look at the blue portion. Yellow portion is the road improvement in Cambodia, and thanks to this, that the commuting time has significantly shorter. Please look at the blue area. Blue area is the custom clearance procedure between Vietnam and also the Cambodia, and there is no improvement in the border custom clearance. Therefore, JICA initiated the project to improve logistics in Cambodia. This is about the border custom clearance procedure, started in 2019, and we done the pilot project, and the capacity increased from 50 trucks per hour to the 80 per car. And with the simplification of the procedure, now you can shorten the time. And these are the achievements. Now, moving on to the East Africa. The East Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, 7 different countries are in Eastern Africa, but the population is almost twice, and economic size is almost 1.3 times. So 1,000 meter is the units of map, so you can have the you can compare the two regions. Please look at the landlocked countries. The Rwanda is landlocked country, and there are 2 international routes for the port, but both of them are 1,500 kilometers, and it's all land transportation. And around Rwanda is far away from the port. Therefore, the cost of the import and an export, almost 40% of that is the logistical cost. The Kenya, the coastal country, the share of the logistics is only 12%, so that the landlocked countries has this significant disadvantage. So through the TICAD and other initiatives that we try to improve the corridor for those countries. This is one example of the Lusumo. This is the border bridges. This bridge was constructed during the colonial time and very narrow and old, and made it to the wider bridges so that several lanes are available, and also border custom clearance became much simpler, and also we made the very major road. OSBP is written here, which means one-stop border post. So just one stop is sufficient to clear the custom. So with this is about the cargo, but when the truck goes through the border, it used to take 8 hours, but now it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. So this much simplification was done. Rwanda, this is the logistics performance index of the Rwanda. It was ranked as the worst 3 in the list, but now it has gradually improved and a much higher than the average of the African countries, 57th. The Turkey is 3.15, but it is almost the same as the Turkey. So even a landlocked country can be this level with the improvement of the inland corridors. So lastly, this is a message that I really want to convey. The common consensus and a strong commitment by all countries involved is paramount to improving logistics and strengthening connectivity. The people who are here should be really aware of the challenges and issues and have to improve the situation. Second, it is essential that the development of transportation infrastructure, custom procedure, legal regulations, and human resource development be implemented in a harmonious way. And finally, JICA would like to work to strengthen connectivity in Central Asia and also Caucasus. Thank you very much.
ありがとうございました。次に税関分野での日本の国際協
Thank
力。
you very much. We would like to hear from the Ministry of Finance, Ms. Sasaki Asuka, Senior Deputy Director, International Cooperation Division, Customs and Tariff Bureau. Thank you very much for the introduction. My name is Sasaki from the Customs Tariff Bureau of Ministry of Finance. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. So I do have the slide deck. Could I share those with you? So today I'd like to share with you the international cooperation related to the customs tariff area. So all in all, Japan is an island country. So the countries are landlocked countries. So of course the assumptions could be quite dramatically different from Japan, but it is true that the role that the Customs Bureau would bear and also the issues, I do believe those are common with your countries. In WCO, we do have the international, the organization for the World Customs Organization. We are all members of this organization addressing similar issues. So I'd like to share with you the current international cooperation and where Japan stands, and that would be a food for thought for your future endeavors. Could we turn to the next slide, please? Not quite sure how to use this. Apologies. So I would like to just continue with my explanation. So I'd like to share with you the scheme of the international cooperation. So in terms of the significance of international cooperation, if you can progress to slide 3, please. These are some of the trends related to international cooperation relative to the customs. So in the central part, the bubbles, we have a number of international initiatives listed here. So FTA, EPA, of course we have those, and at WTO, there is a trade facilitation agreement, which has been concluded. And also we have CMAA in the middle. This relates to international commitments among customs authorities to provide mutual assistance in preventing the smuggling of illicit goods and border control of IP goods and so forth. So CMAA has been concluded. So those are some of the trends related to international cooperation. And we also have digitalization. This is, of course, not just for customs, but that is a very important trend, AI, and also the usage of cutting-edge technology. Also, some of the disaster preventions or infectious disease preventive measures. These are definitely the trends that we would all have to address. So definitely, we bear a very important role within the logistics. So both the exporters and importers, we do need a close collaboration. Next slide, please. So just as I have just mentioned, based on these international trends, we definitely see more of a diversification and advancement of the logistics. So in terms of digitalization and also infectious disease prevention, we do believe we need to interact more with the private sector. So in the customs area, I'd like to specifically talk about what would be some of the measures. So I do believe there are three roles fulfilled by the customs, which is the trade facilitation, safe and secure society, and also appropriate collection of custom duties. These are the three major roles of customs. And I do believe this is common across the board in the world. So in order to realize that, I do believe there are two elements that is necessary. First is we need to have custom clearance systems in accordance with international standards, which is on the left-hand side, and also on the right-hand side, we need the appropriate and correct knowledge and operational capabilities of the staff involved. So in order to assist in this, we would like to collaborate within this framework of international cooperation. So going forward, I'd like to share with you some of the concrete details related to the support schemes. So in terms of we have two, roughly speaking, two formats. Left-hand side, these are the activities in Japan, and the right-hand side, these are the activities abroad, workshops and so forth. So we have some events held in Japan and also abroad. So there are three schemes. The first is ODA, which is specifically assisted by the government of Japan. And in the middle, this is the capacity building activities through WCO. So for instance, through funds and also HR. So this is the contribution through WCO. And the third is the JICA scheme. So roughly speaking, there's three schemes related to this. Here's an example of the workshop in Japan. So these are the concrete examples. It really depends on the scheme, but the duration is normally 1 to 2 weeks, and the number of participants, about 10 to 15 officials from abroad. So we would convene them, or we would invite them to provide them with different workshops on different subjects. They would be the venues, visits, and so forth to enhance their knowledge and conduct training. So in the customs area, it relates to how appropriately and how effectively can we conduct the customs clearance. So HS, this is the product category that is common across the board in the world. So how can we manage this HS category classification, for instance? Next slide, please. This is the workshop in Japan for Central Asia and Caucasus between 2019 to 2021. So as you can tell, there's been 9 instances of workshops, and 23 customs officials have visited Japan. So what's shown here is the online workshop that was conducted. So using the JICA scheme, we have introduced, or we have held this workshop through online basis. Next is the case that we would conduct these activities abroad. So between the years of 2015 to 2018, we have conducted 4 workshops, and we dispatched 6 of our Japan customs officials. On the left-hand side, for instance, WCO sub-regional workshop. So it is not bilateral, but it's rather on an area basis. We have dispatched our customs officials as experts. Also, we have a bilateral technical cooperation on customs laboratories. So there are some cases we may conduct this under a bilateral framework. Next, it relates to the joint project between WCO and JICA and how we, as the customs, is contributing to it. So by conducting this jointly with WCO and JICA, we can leverage on the experts and specialty of WCO, and also the guides that is complying with international standards. Those could be leveraged, and also on top of that, we can leverage on the expertise and the insights of JICA. Those are the benefits of this joint project. So likewise, we are dispatching the customs officials abroad. So in terms of the concrete projects, since 2007 onwards, those have been underway. OSBP, I think there was an explanation from JICA. One stop, the border post has been provided towards Africa. So MTP is a master trainer program. That is another one. So again, this is catered towards African countries and also island countries. So those are still ongoing as we speak. So I'd like to give you more details on these one-stop border post OSBP. There has been an explanation already. So if there's the border, if you were to pass through the border crossing, so these are some of the procedures. The clearance procedure as a whole would be conducted at one facility. So both the import and export customs clearance, it could be conducted under one instance. So we have also dispatched the customs official from Japan. So between country A and country B, the customs officials from both countries would have the same level of capability and knowledge. And we have contributed in enhancing the general level of expertise amongst the customs officials of those 2 countries. Next is a program called MTP, Master Trainer Program. As you can read here, we have countries A, B, C. So the customs officials, the representatives, they would actually act as mentors or masters. So they would be receiving a training for 2 to 3 years or so to become the master trainer. So after 3 years, and after passing the test and be qualified to become the master trainer, they can engage in work. So the country A, country B, for instance, they can engage in training of the custom officials. Also, they can engage the private sector to provide various trainings. So that is the nature of this MTP. So to become the master trainer, we have assisted in producing the materials for the training of these master trainers. Already in Africa, we have established 150 master trainers have been nurtured already. And through these master trainers have conducted various training, and more than 43,000 people or the officials have been trained through these master trainers. So it has been very efficient and very effective and highly evaluated within WCO. This is another example of MTP, Master Trainer Program. Just for your reference, this is the flow chart. So in the course of 3 years or so, they would reach the final phase to become the Master Trainer. So this is just for your reference. Again, this is just for your reference. And then last year, The number of workshops that were held was in Japan. These are the numbers. That is all from my end. So in the customs area, the idea is how can we promote this international standard? And of course, we would need to incorporate more of a digitalization that would lead to expediting the custom clearance process. So it would not be suffice just to engage domestically only. We would need to definitely engage others outside of the country. That is all from my end. Thank you very much.
ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much. Now moving on, this is about what they are working in the Central Asia and also Eurasian transportation. So I would like to invite Mr. Ozeki from Nishin. Thank you very much for your introduction. I am from Nishin Corporation. I'll be speaking on the topics of logistics in Central Asia and Caucasus. I hope my presentation will be useful for you. This is a table of contents of today's presentation. So since time has been limited, I would like to go into number 2 and also number 3 about the logistic cost from Japan, Central Asia, and Caucasus. So I would like to highlight on these 2 points. So I will skip my railroad businesses. So now, let me talk about why the Caspian Sea route is attracting so much attention. In March 2021, a stranding accident occurred in the Suez Canal, and cargoes bound for Europe, which until then had been transported exclusively by sea, suddenly flew onto the Siberian land bridge right here. And last year, 2022, February 24, Russia invaded into Ukraine, and a number of companies began to refrain from actively using a Trans-Siberian Railway. And as of now, transit transport to Europe on the Trans-Siberian Railway is not really functioning. In other words, the situation has reverted to the old situation where the only route to Europe is a sea route via the Suez Canal. Thank you. So, ocean route, so through the Suez Canal. This is the only route that we are using at this moment. Therefore, the Caspian Sea route is now attracting attention as a more environmentally friendly route that bypass Belarus and Russia, and it should be used effectively as a BCP response to the vulnerability of the Suez Canal. Now going from Japan, going through the Chinese port and the Caspian Sea, Caucasus, and also Black Sea or Turkey, then going into European continent. So that is the current route. And as I said, there are several issues need to be solved when it comes to Caspian Sea. I hope that the customer can use with peace of mind as soon as possible through cooperation between the public and private sectors in each country. In the past, the transportation routes were selected based on the freight cost and the secondary transit time, number of days in transit. So these two were the major criteria for selecting transportation route. But now, as you see on the slide, the number 3, companies are required to give a special attention to the environment. Using a railroad more frequently can be friendly to the environment, and also you always have to have a backup plan in case of an accident. The Caspian Sea route, number 3 and number 4, the Caspian Sea route suffice the criteria of number 3 and 4. Now moving on to the logistic cost from Japan to Central Asia to Caucasus. You have to go through the 3 different countries. So I talked about the transit logistics, but now between Japan and South Central Asia and then Caucasus, we have to think of bilateral transportation. This shows the logistics cost between Japan to Central Asia and Caucasus. The leftmost blue area is a freight rate for 40-foot container to Hamburg, Germany. And the graph shows the ratio with this rate set at 1. The red figures are for the capitals or major cities of each of the 5 Central Asian countries, and the transportation route is the China land bridge. Yellow figures are for the capitals of 3 Caucasus countries, the Baku and others. And the transportation route is by truck inland from the Georgian Pochi port on the Black Sea. If you see this, the Hamburg is 1, and now Almaty is 3.6 times, which means that the 40-foot container to Almaty, Kazakhstan, you can carry 4 40B containers to Hamburg. If you want to send it to Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan, 5, and 7 to Ashgabat, Turkmenistan. So that Central Asia really costs much higher than others. So as a logistic companies, it is not really a normal situation. Connecting Europe and Asia, the Central Asia is the center of the Eurasian continent, and Central Asia has a geopolitical advantage. And but when it comes to the logistical connection between Japan and bilateral, this is exactly the opposite of this situation. So everyone aware that this logistics situation extremely high cost for Central Asia. I hope that everyone should be aware of this situation. I don't think that you can halve the price right away, but each country, government, railroad companies, and then shipping companies should be aware of the situation, and by lobbying at the governmental level or these company levels, hopefully that the logistic between Japan and Central Asia and Caucasus will improve in the future. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank
you very much. Thank you to all the panelists. We would now like to move on to the Q&A session. So from my end, I'd like to pose a couple of questions to the panelists from Central Asia and Caucasus. We're really running out of time, so if you would like to keep your answers short, that would be highly appreciated. So first of all, I'd like to ask Mr. Adaf Bayez from Kazakhstan. You mentioned that you have the target to become the hub for the transit, and you have shared with us a number of topics within your presentation. So, for instance, a digitalization of customs, the software-related initiatives would also be important. So, within Tajikistan mentioned about the bilateral treaty to be concluded with Kazakhstan. That was the point mentioned from Tajikistan. So, from Kazakhstan basis, do you believe this is possible to have such bilateral agreement?
Спасибо за вопрос. Очень хороший вопрос.
Thank you very much for that question. That is a very good question, by the way. The answer is yes. Kazakhstan, we are definitely looking towards that direction. We do have the roadmap, and I have also alluded to that within my presentation. So as in the roadmap, we do have an line item under the customs clearance. So under the Ministry of Industry, we are engaging in various practical meetings and also various committees. Under this menu, we have been addressing this issue. In fact, just last year, in December, the transport logistics concept has been approved at the end of last year. And customs clearance was one of the items approved. Now, the point related to digitalization, Kazakhstan, we are very much keen on promoting this further. Thank you very much for that
あり
question.
がとうございます。前向きな回答ありがとうございます。タジキスタンにとって
Thank you very much. So for Kazakhstan and also for us, that it is a very good process. Now I'd like to ask Mr. Kurmanbekov of Kyrgyz. In your presentation, Kyrgyz is a landlocked country, so you have to go to the ocean, that you really have to go through the Kazakhstan and other neighboring countries, so that you really have to have improved logistics. So for the Kazakhstan and other neighboring countries, that what type of the logistics facilitation improvement are you expecting?
Спасибо большое за вопрос.
Thank you for your question. Well, in reality, I mentioned this in my presentation, but Kyrgyzstan is the landlocked country, so there is no outlet for the ocean. However, we export goods, and also not just for the neighboring countries, but also faraway countries across the sea. So when it comes to the cargo, I don't see much of a problem. You mentioned about the Kazakhstan, and in the administrative level, Kyrgyzstan and also Kazakhstan, the cargo between the two countries, sometimes they have a problem of a long waiting time. We have to solve this problem, and also our logistic companies, when you go through the Turkmenistan, you have to get the visa, and that visa is only one-time visa, and the Kyrgyzstan really have to work with the Turkmenistan to solve the problems about the visa, and we have concluded the understanding so that it can be valid for the 1 year. That was last year's October or November, but Kyrgyzstan with Uzbekistan, we had concluded the understanding. The name of that? Let me check. Leasing ferry. Iran, Kyrgyzstan negotiation, and also with the Iran logistic companies, we made arrangement to use a ferry. So that's it from me. Thank you very much.
ありがとうございました。次に
Thank you very much. Next question is towards Mr. Mirzoev from Tajikistan. So within the presentation, you mentioned about you are looking into, you have an agreement on the electronic declaration with Uzbekistan and others. So what do you identify as the issues for the introduction of such electronic declaration system?
Спасибо большое, господин Ничиба. Это хороший вопрос. Да, действительно, нам удалось подписать соглашение с Узбекистаном по внедрению.
We cannot hear you. The microphone's off.
Они играют очень большую роль при перевозке груза, так как значительно сокращают время оформления грузов. Сейчас у нас...
So the electronic declaration, as you rightly mentioned, we were able to successfully conclude it. So we are in the process to conclude that with Kazakhstan as well. And we do intend to conclude a similar agreement with other countries. So as far as the conclusion with Uzbekistan, right now we do not foresee any specific issues. Tajikistan and Uzbekistan, we're closely working with one another for the introduction of electronic declaration system. Of course, there could be some technical issues. Perhaps additional infrastructure is required. So aside from those, we do not foresee any significant issues in the introduction.
ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much. Now, let me ask Mr. Hasimo for the Uzbekistan, please. The Caspian Sea route, there are two routes through the Kazakhstan, and also the other one is Turkmenistan. So that what type of challenges do you have for both routes?
Спасибо большое. Действительно, есть два альтернативных.
Thank you very much. We have two different routes. Both Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan, both of them are very flexible. And Uzbekistan has been engaged in a trade in this manner, and the trading amount is $4.5 billion. And so answering to your question, railroad cost should be lowered. Export, cargo, transportation, especially the railroad cost should be reduced. So Japan and Uzbekistan has an agreement, and transit cost should be also reduced. And currently, we are studying the way to reduce it. The Central Asia, Caucasus, and Turkey, last year, there was agreement was made, tariff. The three government will take incentives and for the tariffs. And the digitalization, about 10 years ago, that the Japanese government provided us two large scanners, and between the Uzbekistan and Afghanistan's, that the volume of the transportation increased up to the 3 million tons. And the last 10 years that we've been using it very usefully. So I'd like to thank Japanese people. As MOF official said, that MOF and also JICA, I have a request to make that through different projects, the Central Asia logistics to be improved. Nawa'i Airport, that is the priority for us. It has a great potential. And from there, going through the outlet, going through the land transportation route, going to the Asia. And we really have to improve the skills of the official of the logistics, and also improve the capability of the custom officers.
ありがとうございました。次にジョージアのマスク社の
Now, moving on to the Georgia, Mr. Daniela. So in your presentation, you mentioned about the changes in a geopolitical situation, and also you mentioned about the practical aspect of that. So I'd like to ask you a question about the practical aspect of this. from Japan to Caspian Sea, that we have to go through the Poti port and also hub ports in Turkey. And sometimes the feeder lines are very inconvenient. So would you share with us the expanding a shipping service from a Poti port?
First of all, thank you very much for the question. This is the very important question because, as already mentioned within my presentation, the Black Sea and the Poti seaport itself is acting as the main gateway for the Caucasus and Central Asia landlocked countries. Right now, in the current circumstances, we are having the regular polls. When I'm using we, it means that we as a Maersk, but at the same time, the whole industry, including the rest of the shipping lines, global shipping lines, which are widely presented in Georgia, in the Black Sea, in each countries, including the Bulgaria, Romania, Georgia, and Turkey. When it comes to the services, there are regular services from Poti to Ambarli, Istanbul ports. I can easily say that year to year, the volume is increasing and the capacity in the parallel way is increasing from 15 to 22%, which is absolutely great number, if I may say like that. A part of it, as already mentioned, we already launched the direct service from Poti to Constanța. Mainly this direct service, which takes only up to 2 days as a transit time, is dedicated for the flows coming from China, from Kazakhstan, from the rest of the STAN countries, through Azerbaijan and Georgia to Europe and vice versa. This direct service to Constanța is already in the interest of the Japanese companies within the pipeline, what we are managing from our perspective and from the customers we are managing within our services in Japan. A part of it, as already mentioned, we will officially launch the direct service from Poti to Ukrainian new port. It's called Rene. The transit time will be up to 2 days again. And through Rene, we will connect the Ukraine through the hinterland solutions by rail combined services. So on the Black Sea, I can definitely say that the connectivity on the ocean part is not an issue. For sure, when it comes to the new flows through the corridor, it's always the matter of discussion if the capacity needs to be increased, if the capacity needs to be widened, and we at the Maersk, we are more than ready to consider any kind of offers and solution on that part. Thank you very much.
ありがとうございました。続いて
Thank you very much. I would like to ask Mr. Deficit from Georgia. You mentioned about an expansion of the connectivity through the rail between Georgia and Turkey. So what are some of the issues you may foresee for further expansion of connectivity?
Thank you very much for the interesting question. Indeed, the PTK has changed the game in the connectivity in the region. As before, it was connected through roads only. So we were connected to Turkey by roads, but from 2017, it is now available to transport cargo with environmentally friendly transportation mode, which is also very important currently, not only from the government side, but also this is the direction that attention is paid by the private players as well. In the future, we foresee considerable growth in cargo between Central Asia, Far East, and Turkey and Europe. And you mentioned what might be the challenges. The thing is, we need to complete construction, because it is still under construction currently, and the transportation is in the test mode. So we need to complete the construction of BTK line fully. That would enable design capacity to be utilized at 5 million tons per year. So this will enable and increase capacity for intra-regional trade as well. And in addition to that, we need digitalization of the corridor, and not only BTK. It is one of the routes, but we need to digitalize the transportation corridor through Azerbaijan, Georgia, Kazakhstan, and other Central Asian countries as well. That would enable track and tracing system that was also mentioned today, and increase transparency and accessibility from private companies to the services that is provided by operators in the corridor as a whole. Thank you very much.
ありがとうございました。これにて
Thank you very much. This concludes panel discussion 1. Well, thank you very much for your participation, all the panelists. Okay, we take a break, and 4:50 we will have another panel discussion.